around a bunch of people drinking ayahuasca, it's impossible to avoid that energy. You're swimming in it very quickly.
What energy are you talking about?
It's I'd like to convince myself that it's not really happening, but it absolutely is. I'm reminded every retreat that it doesn't matter that if you don't drink, you're going to be affected by the medicine.
Right. And why do you think that is, or how does that operate?
I don't really know the specifics. I can give examples. I know, and you can probably relate that when you are around people that have ingested psilocybin, that you yourself, even though you haven't ingested psilocybin, feel very much that you're in that same frequency. And I feel that same as with ayahuasca. My experience is that it is the same with ayahuasca.
Mm,
It's a very dense energy, and it's like I'm around a lot of it. So it's
yeah.
exhausting, honestly, at the end of the
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that's just generally the case with everything we do. You know, what I mean, if you're in a hospital, you're in that vibe, that energy of it all. Like I'm in a place with a few old people at the moment, and I'm kind of feeling that old energy, you know,
day.
that I'm surrounded by at the moment. So I kind of find it hard to sort of get through and get motivated at this time. It's a bit tricky.
There's a good remedy for that. Just like create a balance. Maybe get like an 18-year-old girl in there for you, a woman, young woman.
Right. Right. Or some young children for sure. It's a whole different,
Absolutely.
call it.
Brings the frequency up.
Yeah, that's right. At the moment, I'm kind of struggling a bit, but it's okay. That's part of my challenge that I'm going through.
Yes, it
Um,
is the human experience, the
ugh,
being human experience.
yeah, it's very wavy at the moment, but it's okay. Let's talk about this concept that we sort of touched on the other day, and it's this idea of being a servant to the moment. Now, if you
Right.
you hear that, what do you think of what comes up for you?
Flow states, I think, is the first thing that comes to mind.
Mm,
There's like this area, it's called flow state, and I've run into a few people that have talked about it in my life. It's rare that people acknowledge it, know what it is. I think it seems to be more than just being present in the moment with your full concentrated awareness on your sensory of input information, not in your head at all, completely turning off the inner dialogue. But it seems to be more than that. Maybe once you attain complete silence of the mind, I feel that I would venture and a divine force comes through you and works through you and connects you in patterns and ways and situations you would have never dreamed possible. And I think that's flow state. I think some people might not take it in such a pure form, but for me, it is that pure form.
mm.
It's like the high states of LSD, perhaps, or yeah, something
Well,
of that nature.
well, I think it's like, yeah, just to add on to that, I think it's something like why creatives love being creative, right? Playing an instrument, painting a picture, or whatever it may be, you kind of not in your head and you're just in the moment doing whatever, adding some paint to the brush, and it's kind of like you don't know what's going to happen next, you know, and you're just in that state and out of your mind. I mean, is that our natural state? I think so.
I would think so.
Hmm.
I, I think we're trying to apply it, or at least I think the context was originally was relating to ceremony
Mhm.
and how to handle situations of intensity within ceremonial practices, holding space, if you will. And there are those that, do very dogmatic sort of approaches to dealing with people's inability to sit within their own emotions and applying flow state to those situations instead. And we both agree that there's much better outcomes with just kind of approaching every situation as a unique situation, a new experience.
Well,
And you have your
absolutely.
skills to pull upon, of course.
Mm,
But I would think a healthy way to do it is like every situation is a little bit different. It should
absolutely.
be done.
Well, it's a good thing because I mean, like for me, just say like when I would sit in ceremony, I'd kind of just sit there in the middle of the room and
Yeah.
just, everybody would be sitting around and, going through their process. And I would just sit there and just kind of wait for something to pop off and something to happen, something that required my attention, something that required me to go over there and do something. Other than that, I wouldn't touch anything, and some may even say that's a lazy approach. But I kind of adapt that into my life as well. I kind of find my center with where I'm at, uh, and just I my days are like that, you kind of just go through and then whatever sort of pops up, then you give attention to that and address that however best you can, and it seems to work really well. Um, Now when I want to build things and do things and have ideas, it's a little bit I kind of apply the same thing but with a bit more focus. I have an idea and I go forward with it, but there's always little things don't always work out the way I want them to work out within my mind, so then I sort of let go and sort of apply a bit of creativity to the moment. And I have
Yeah.
so much more fun doing it. Like it's so fun for me. I mean, you get that. Like you wake up in the morning, you don't know what's going to happen throughout the day, but your day gets filled with so many things and people and
Yeah.
and off you go on your little daily journey.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like, I'll create like my to-do list, like starting the day before I go to bed, I'll start putting together activities for the following day. And I'll have a certain perception of how I'm going to approach that. But at the end of it all, overthinking is a very dangerous thing, or it's like a completely waste of energy. It's not healthy. And so for me, it's just about making the situation start, and then continually going back around and checking in because it's always like reassessing the scenario based upon any sort of obstacles that have arise, like or modifications in design. Because like I'm building things, right? Buildings, bathrooms, repairing fence lines, doing electrical work, building furniture, maintaining the grounds, things like that. So it's constantly I have to refeed that loop back, and I'm in the business of empowering people. So it's like, how do I create the best scenario for the people that are in charge of the various projects to be successful? And so that's not flow state for me. I guess I could get into a state of flow state with it ultimately, but like for me, flow state seems to come from like for me, medicinal plant induced states is like the best way I've been able to actually get into a true flow state from the heights that I've witnessed in my life that I wish to reattain. I mean, other people might consider flow state in different terms, but I mean, to me, it's like connection with divinity. It flows through you. You become one, and you just become like um, a useful tool for the universe to operate through, in a sense. And you're along for a hell of a ride. Just class A ticket seating and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of sort of just keep going back to like the tribal days, the tribe, when we lived in tribes. I mean, I kind of feel like when, s- a male or whatever was out hunting, they were in their flow state, right? They were one with nature. They were listening to all the different creatures and whether they were tracking
Yeah,
something or not, they were in it. They were one with it. Like an animal surely is in that state all the time.
yeah.
So I
It's
think
got to be.
it's our natural state. It's our natural state. I just think that we just feel our head and our lives up with so many different things that it it overrides that.
I would even say we could take it a different direction
Mm.
or look at that through a little bit different lens and say that we don't create all these distractions in our mind, but instead those distractions and voices and things like that are coming from outside of us. I'd be willing to put that on the table. And therefore, it might be a better way of looking at and approaching and dividing yourself from that rather than saying, these are the voices that are plaguing my mind and why I can't focus in the moment. I'm just distracted with all these thoughts. I'm saying that perhaps those thoughts aren't even part of our consciousness naturally. Like you're talking about a natural state hunting in the wilds. I mean, those people are like silence in the mind. They're in the moment.
Right.
They're hearing, they're smelling, they're feeling the
Yeah.
wind, the cold, whatever.
Right.
And so that's like they can't get caught up in their mind loops, you know.
Mm.
Like the mind loop is like the trap that I see in ayahuasca. It's probably 60% of the problems that I've witnessed commonly in ceremony. It's the mind loops. These cyclical thought patterns that pull people out of the moment and distract them from their time, their moment of glory, if you will. Their mind will distract them from that continuously. So
It's the mind loops, and I can totally understand that. I go through it all the time. I wake up and my mind's just going through these crazy loops, reliving the past at the moment. That's what I'm going through.
I
I'm like, how do I break free from this? How do I liberate myself from this and just be in the here and now? Like, I just want to be here now and be present, like you're saying, like just feeling the wind on my face, the sun on my face, and just being with that, hearing the birds and being
well,
in
there's
that.
technique,
There is.
but it's hard to adhere to.
There is. I
Yeah.
mean, the struggle is for me as well. It's just everyday life, I still have to get up and go to work and, make money so I can pay the rent and buy food and do these simple
It's a freaking
basic things.
nightmare of distraction. Like that's so far away from our true essence.
Absolutely. You know, that's what I have
Such
to
a
do to
disconnect.
survive. To disconnect, exactly. It's a disconnect. And now that I'm living in a city, I look around at everybody. I'm struggling to connect with people. I'm struggling because everybody's disconnected. If I talk about, this kind of concept or just going out into nature, even that is a real far out thing for people. If I start talking about, how we're all connected and we're connected to plants and all living beings, like it's a far out concept for people because everyone's completely disconnected and just severed this tie. And most people don't even know that that's our natural nature. But the thing is, how do you achieve that in these dense, built up, populated areas? I don't even know if I mean, it's possible, but I
Do the
just,
best we can.
yeah,
Well, if you're conscious of it, you can do the best you can. If you're not conscious of it, you won't even know to do anything. But
right.
what I've told people that in the intensity of a ceremonial moment, I always tell people to go back to their breath. For me and get a little sick and say it's inspiring, right? It's inspiration, it's spirit, it's mana. Um, it is if you are, and the key phrase I tell people that's easy to remember is like if you're in your head, you're not breathing right. And if you're breathing right, you're not in your head. And I find it true every time because as soon as you just start breathing right, then you're out of your head. And then you think, oh, I'm out of my head. And
Right.
then you're like, oh, shoot, I'm not breathing right.
Right. I'm back in. Yeah, it's
And
the
so it's just back
conundrum.
and forth.
It's the loop.
But you can get better and better progressively over time with practice. And that to me brings people to presence quick. It's an easy thing to remember, and everyone can do it.
Absolutely. You just got to
It
keep
dissolves
reminding yourself.
fear
Mm.
because it just increases those biochemical reactions to dissolve chemicals of fear. And so it has a very scientific application as well. But you know this, man. You got me inspired with the Wim Hof. We were rock and roll when you were down here.
And that's a
You were
really
peace.
great way to do it. It's a great way to do it. It just gets you right in there. Um, Breathing, I think, if you don't have any other access to anything, I mean, that's really what it all comes down to is your breath. I've sat in meditation for days, hours, and it's all what it all comes down to is just your breath, because that's all we have. That's all we have. And now I'm at this point. So I guess I'm talking about this, I'm trying to figure it out for myself. Is like, how do I stay centered and present in a world, in an environment that I'm in that is just so the opposite to that. It's always go, 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 do, do, do. And there's so many projections being thrown at me that I need to be this certain person. And if, you got to be this, you got to do that, you got to make something of yourself, and all these projections. Um,
Demons, I would call them.
well, you know, but so I'm at this point now where I'm like, okay, I know I've got all the tools, I've done all the things, and yet, how do I apply all of this in my everyday life? How do I apply this as I'm walking down the street? I'm in a city.
Breathe,
Exactly.
silence, listen, listen to the wind, listen to nature, try to hear a bird. But
Exactly.
how to gain it? That's my problem.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I think nature's a really good trigger. Every time I hear the birds, it reminds me to hook in and just listen. Um, I like spending a lot of time at the beach, but it's like, how do I do this while I'm sitting at my desk, for 8 hours a day? Uh, and it's
Balance.
the breath. It's a challenge, but I'm up for the challenge, but it's the breath. And I think for me, the harder times get, the more it reminds me, come back, come back. When things are flowing and things are great, I don't really think about my breath as much. But when I'm having a hard time, I absolutely come back and think about it and go, okay, breathe. There's nothing else you can do in this moment other than just breathe. Just settle the anxieties and whatever's going on and just breathe. And that
I
seems
mean,
to,
there's so much that could be explored within the breath. Uh,
right.
for me, have you heard of like I'm sure you've heard of it, bariatric chambers, oxygen chambers?
Yeah, of course.
Like talk about taking breath to the extreme, right?
Right.
I mean, here we are forcing high concentrations of oxygen into our lungs. And what are the results? Healing throughout the body.
Yeah.
Every grows neurons. Dead areas within the brain come back to life. Telomeres lengthen.
Right.
It's incredible to think of. And then where do you go from there? It's like, well, is that our natural state? Did we come from a higher density oxygen environment at once upon a time? And that the way the world is now is not quite what it was originally? I've
Well,
gone there.
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, and just there's a simple thing of like, I've noticed the difference of just breathing when I'm camping in a tent out in nature versus when I'm in a house. It's
Totally different feel on every level. Your
completely.
senses are alive in a tent. The
Yeah.
air is crisp.
Yes, exactly. The air is crisp and I'm just getting all of that pure oxygen, and it's not this recycled air that you get through air cons or heating and whatnot. So these small little things, make a big, big difference just in how we live our everyday lives. So, you know, I don't have,
Breatharianism,
bro, I've
you know,
tried that.
that energy in just from the mana, the energy, the ether. Sure, I mean, but I appreciate you trying. That was incredible. I loved
Mm,
hearing about your journey with that. I
yeah,
remember you telling
yeah. I mean, I did it for a couple of years and it was great. I mean, it was incredible because what it is, it's not, it was a whole ethos and way to live my life. So it changed the way I saw everything and the way that I related just with everyone and every living being and my body. It created this huge, amazing relationship with my body. I was so present with what I was putting in, and it wasn't much, but I was also so present with how I was absorbing the prana, the mana, the natural life force, and using that to actually live and go forth. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing it, and there's different levels of breatharianism. Um, I'm not quite doing it so much now, um, for my own reasons, but I mean, it's definitely changed my relationship with food, and it's definitely changed the way I perceive in my body and feel everything moving through. It's created this deep connection within myself. I kind of equate it to like a walking daily meditation, and I felt like I had just as much energy as anybody else, if not more. Um, yeah,
Wild. It's the furthest thing from anybody's mind that that could even be possible.
totally, and that's why I did it, just to see what it was about. Yeah, and it was
Yeah,
incredible.
I've had like conscious thoughts about maybe our digestive system that we're equipped with here might just be sort of an emergency backup. Probably was never really intended to be used all the time. And maybe just kind of like sampling the environment from time to time.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what it's. And yeah, if we lived in a high frequency, well, this could get biblical, right? I mean, we're in a fallen state, right? There's a whole talk show about that, a fallen state. But speaking about maybe we are from a higher frequency, denser oxygen environment, and when we were in those states, we just didn't feel the need to eat.
yeah,
We had cathedrals and monasteries that were just harmonic frequency generators with the bagpipes or the windpipe organs inside and the bells, the church bells. All these things were healing frequencies to the body that I don't know, brought us back to our natural frequency, our natural harmonious state.
yeah. Well,
Perhaps they didn't.
I think you're right. I think you're totally right. I think we've de-evolved in that respect. You know,
Yeah,
we've kind of gone down.
yeah. We've been lied to on every level, it seems.
It seems so. I mean, the interesting part is that we're alive at this real pivotal point in the world's evolution. It's like, well, where are we going to go as a collective from here? Are we going to spiral down further, or are we going to start spiraling back up?
Or is there going to be a split?
Or is there going to be a split? I mean, what does that even look like? Like, I don't even know.
Those that choose the matrix, and those that choose to go the other way.
Well, will we see them? Will they just drop out of existence, out of our
Oh,
existence?
we'll probably drop out of existence for them. I imagine AI will send some drones out to take care of us.
Probably, probably. Or we just cease to exist. Will it be like the Mayans or the Incas, like that whole concept where they still exist within their realm? Their frequency is just different.
There's something to all that. I mean, Carlos Castaneda oftentimes spoke about the veils and the different frequencies. I mean, you even go into like the mist of Avalon, in English folklore and Scottish folklore. They just go to Avalon and then to the fairy realm by just these thin frequency veils around us that vibrate slightly differently, but change your whole reality. So, like you're saying too, like your frequency changed with just the breatharianism,
Right.
changed your whole consciousness of how you related with the world around you, how your relationships with food and
Everything.
everything. So,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wasn't seeing things. I wasn't seeing, you know, the fairies or anything like that, which I
no,
thought
but
maybe
those
I would.
I think those are places you can go to. That's why I think at the very beginning of this conversation, I was alluding to flow state being triggered by psychedelics, because that's what I've experienced. I think it has to be such a high energy input that it, for me, triggers that silencing of the mind and getting in alignment with, say, the true God's purpose or your destiny comes flowing through you uncontrollably, and you just align with it. That
Right.
to me is flow.
Right.
Everything else is just fear, distraction, worry, doubt in the past and the future. Like you were saying, you get caught in your past. I get caught in the past too. I argue with people that I haven't seen in years. And I like to think that I got a handle on the concept of what this is all about, but yet so much in my environment and everyone's environment just like whittles away at your frequency until these things can whittle their way into your consciousness.
Well,
Illusion.
exactly. I think that's where, well, that's the biggest cause of frustration for me. I'm going to be honest. I've done so much work and learnt so much, and yet here I am, still wrestling with this whole life thing, and it frustrates me. It frustrates me that I
Demons.
can't seem to well, there's a lot. I'm like, have I cracked the code? Have I not? But I don't know. I'm just like, I still go through my moments. I still go through my anxieties. I still go through my depressive times and all of that. My
I like
struggles.
I should recall this saying, the very true statement that it is no measure of a sane mind to be well adjusted to a sick society. So if you're feeling frustrated and despair and all that within the society you live in, good for you. Because if you felt that was all normal, that would be the real problem.
Okay, cool. That makes me feel better.
Your uncomfortability will force change.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's true.
you have to be sick of your environment and circumstances in order to truly desire a different way of life. So the negativity of your environment will be your catalyst for a better life.
Right. Yeah. Well said. Well said.
Guess there's a lot of trust that needs to happen in that.
There is, yeah. Trust is a big one. To trust yourself, trust life, trust in the grand order of everything.